It's just game changing. We've had a client who literally developed an exam, put it in the store, published it, and it was out there ready for availability. And he didn't need us at all. He did the whole thing himself in a record time. And he's like, that exam went out a couple days ago. And he didn't need to call us because we'd made it so easy for him to do it himself.
Yeah. Hello and welcome. My name is Ruben Garcia, and welcome to Valid Questions. I am the CEO and co-founder of Certiverse, where we have implemented a technology and a platform to help programs accelerate the launch and development and, make things fast for launching new certification exams. And today, my guest is Jill Burroughs. And do we know everything? Everybody knows Jill. So Jill has been
everywhere.
Has been everywhere. But actually, I'll let you introduce yourself, Jill, because you have quite a lot of history with exam programs, launching exam programs, and everybody knows you as Security Jill in the industry.
Yeah. Yes, that is my title. So I'm now Jill Burroughs, Chief Operating Officer of Certiverse. I have been around for a long, long time. Thank you, Ruben, for making me feel old. I started out, I did get into the industry through test security. I have a background in forensic psychology and investigations. And so my first foray into assessments was as test security manager for a large IT program. And from there, I just sort of learned all the ins and outs of assessment and ended up running operations for that global program. And then went on to start a brand new IT certification program that is now one of the biggest there are. So that's who I am.
And you know what, I got to say, you have a lot of experience, but the one thing that's really interesting about you that it's very few people have is that you have gone through almost every aspect of the industry, right? You were at running programs, and then you went on the vendor side as well, right? You worked on vendors.
And then back to programs,
and then back to programs.
Vendor. I will say this. So most of the time, though, has been on the program side. And even when I'm at a vendor or running a vendor, as we are now, I still identify with the program side. I approach everything, even as I work for a vendor, as how I would have seen it as a client.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why I think it wasn't really that difficult to convince you to be a part of Certiverse. Yeah. And in the very early days when we launched Certiverse, I called you up and I'm like, you know what, Jill Burroughs would be a really good person to get feedback in regards to if what we're building is going in the right direction, and is our technology vision going in the right direction. And I remember calling you up and saying, hey, do you have a few minutes? I want to show you something that we're trying to put it together, and we have one pilot going on right now, and you're like the perfect person to test this against, because I knew you've had you have vast experience with security programs, and scaling programs and so forth. So, but anyways, that was interesting because I remember you you looked at. Do you
remember what I said?
Tell us what you said.
So Ruben calls me up and he says, I've got this new thing I'm doing. I want to get your thoughts and your feedback. He gave me, so here's a login. He's like, go through it and then, call me back and tell me exactly what you're thinking. Do you remember what I said? The first thing I said, you're like, so what'd you think? And I said, I'm in. I'm so in. I'm like, I want to be part of this. This is amazing. So yeah, I mean, even the first kind of prototype, so 2 years ago or wherever it was so different than anything I had seen. And I immediately went back to put my client hat on. I was like, I can see exactly how I would use this, exactly how it would make me more efficient, more productive, and how I could save a ton of money, especially running those huge programs that I did.
Yeah, and I think that, and that's one of the reasons when, you said, I'm interested, I want to join Certiverse. I'm like, please, that's like winning the lottery, because, we're like, starting a company, in the very early days and trying to recruit other people that are believers and are aligned to your vision and how you want to change the industry and make it better and so forth. It's really tough. I remember when I started Innovative Exams, you were on the vendor side, and I'm showing you our report. You're actually, this is the true story. You were the very first person who we demoed
Seriously?
the prototype to. Yeah, you and Brian came.
I knew
around.
I was early, but okay.
Yeah, and you're looking at this thing going like, well, this thing is like the ugliest remote proctoring testing
It
kiosk.
looks like it has a face. Why is it's a robot? Yeah.
It's a robot,
It's
but
a
you
robot.
believed in the vision, and it helped us,
Yeah.
get the pilots going and so forth.
Yeah.
So, and you understood it, like we were trying to do together. And the second time around, getting you involved was just like really lucky for us because the building technology and products and all of that, it doesn't really matter like unless you have people that have the experience and that have gone through the pain points of launching a program. And maybe we can start there because I'd love to hear what are the challenges, right, with launching a program. Is it the contract side, is it the vendor side, is it what if you can kind of put yourself in the operator side again, a program operator, what are the things that that would make it difficult to launch a program?
So I have kind of two different experiences. So in my first program I went into, it was a very established program. And they already had several exams on the market. They were already very well known. But I was brought in as test security. But as the time went on, I was tasked with getting all of the certifications accredited, which at the time, I thought, oh, that's easy. It's just documentation. Well, once you start peeling that onion back, it wasn't just documentation. I had to figure out how to basically redo the entire process. And that's when I started realizing, oh my gosh, we have 4 different vendors that do this. And we have one person whose job is to manage a vendor. And kind of seeing how complicated it can become and how many different facets of just a program you have to manage. I mean, I think that's one of the most difficult things is kind of getting a handle on all of the different things that go into building the program. And if you're going to do it to be accredited, it's a whole other animal because there is a specific process, and I think many follow it, but then getting it accredited takes everything to a new level.
Yeah, and we've seen programs where they've actually gone through the whole entire process of going through the accreditation process, and after that, they get a bunch of exams accredited, and they abandon the process because it just becomes
It's too much.
It's too much. It's a lot of work.
Too much.
But what's the and then let's talk about one of the things because we try to solve this with Certiverse, right? But around just the complexity around having all those vendors, we're trying, the model at Certiverse is trying to eliminate a lot of the need to have so many vendors, and we're trying to incorporate, using technology and AI and other technology solutions. We're trying to decrease the number of vendors that you need to launch a certification program. But traditionally, let's talk about that. What would a program need to have in place to be able to say, here's my final exam that I can deliver tomorrow?
Well, if they're starting from scratch, you have to find a vendor to develop, which most times, especially before COVID, it was always an in-person workshop. And that means you had to hire a vendor who had availability that could come at the same time all of your SMEs could come. So there's one vendor. That's just to get it developed. And then you have to hire a psychometrician to do the analysis on the beta exam that was just built. And then you have to figure out a delivery vendor and a proctoring vendor. And you can see how this adds up. And so in a new program, you may only have one delivery vendor. In a very, grown program, I at one point had 9 delivery vendors. Yeah. And it's just, it's the complexity and the amount of work and the amount of resources that I had to put into to run 9 delivery vendors was ridiculous.
And then think about so then you mentioned a lot of the services, but then you also have to have tools, right? You have to have an item banking tool.
Tool. We had a certification management tool. We had content. We had content development. I can't even name them all. I mean, there's so many.
Yeah, and then
a voucher store.
Oh my goodness!
An exam store.
Voucher stores.
Yeah, so Marketplace is back in the day. We called it Marketplace. But yeah, I mean,
where you can buy the exam. That's about 10 vendors already.
I know.
You don't have enough.
I had 9 just delivery vendors for all the different kinds of multimodal delivery we were doing. Yeah, so just that in itself was too much.
Yeah, and then if you think about, okay, so like if you have a program, you're launching all these exams, and then some of these global programs, well, you ran a lot of global programs that require translation, right? And then you have another vendor to do the translation, and then most likely another system to do the translation in, right? So it's a lot of like we have a lot of work, obviously, that we put together a lot of work in Certiverse to try to eliminate the multiple vendors, right? Because I think that as I mentioned to you when we were with the vision with Certiverse is like how can we do this all in one system, which is it's been really difficult to do. I'm not gonna lie, like it's a challenge, because we're trying to basically streamline this end-to-end process that requires professional services, right? That requires all sorts of support and guiding and so forth. And it's been a challenge, but I would say, but it's also you've seen all the benefits that we're as we're we're 2 years into it. I would say with the system coming on to 2 years, it's been a pretty incredible journey seeing that come together.
It has, especially the early adopters that came on with us right at the beginning and were basically just a wing and a prayer, and they believed in the vision. Seeing them now, 2 years later, where they've built multiple exams on the platform, and then we launched proctoring in June, and they started delivering with us. Seeing that entire process and how streamlined and how much more efficient and how easily these clients were able to go from I have nothing to I have 3 exams in the market in a matter of 3 months is just incredible.
I mean, I think that from my perspective, like, we spend a lot of time working on the content piece of it. How do we build how do we design a psychometrically valid exam? Like, we spent a lot of time building that technology and that platform. And, we had a very early vision not to have to, orchestrate the development of an exam with, through a synchronous model, meaning everybody has to be in the same room, or in the same place.
It's just not a scalable model anymore. And I don't think, after COVID, especially, you were going to have such a hard time convincing people to fly in. I think everybody, including me, got really comfortable, staying at home or working from home. But they saw the advantages of, wow, look how more productive I am not traveling. And the next generation, they do everything online. So we have to adapt to them.
And I think a lot of people are also, we were designing the asynchronous model before COVID, right?
Yeah.
We were trying to figure out how can we get
fortuitous timing.
How do we get more people to participate in the exam development process? And we demoed the prototype that we demoed to was just like, this is an asynchronous model. You log in, you do your piece, you get out of the system, and then somebody else comes in and they do their piece and so forth. And that was our model. We didn't really think of, we didn't know COVID was around the corner. But we did it more so that we can have, broader participation, so that we can have, somebody from, a different country, or, just a little bit more, I would say it's a more equitable platform, right? You have,
diversity in your SMEs, absolutely.
And so forth. And that was really kind of like the goal behind that. But we did I feel like we spent a lot of time designing that. And then we obviously took that same asynchronous model and the way we design the item development process as well, and eliminated so much waste. Because I felt like that was critical for us. When I would survey clients and I would ask, like, can you tell me, like, how do you develop an exam? And then they would walk me through the process of, like, the SME meeting, the psychometricians, the survey and all of that stuff. And then when we have that, then we have the blueprint, and then we bring in SMEs to help write items. And I'm like, this is like an opportunity for to be a little bit innovative, not even a lot, just to be innovative, to kind of
incremental, but a huge difference it makes.
Yeah. And then the last piece of it, I was saying, we did, I think we the first phase of the company, we spent a lot of time trying to, like, engineer that, and then, keeping it in line with psychometric standards, right? That was very critical for us.
Well, I think the biggest misnomer that I hear when people are talking about us is that, well, there's the Certiverse process and then there's the, the psychometric process. We didn't change the process. We just made the process more efficient and more productive. It's still the same process that I followed when I was getting all of those exams accredited with 17024. Same exact process. We have just been able to make it more efficient. We've used the AI and the natural language processing to help the SMEs so that we didn't have to have, the program side didn't have to have someone standing over them and babysitting the SMEs. Same process, same psychometric process that would get you accredited is in the system, just highly efficient.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
So I felt like, there's, as we've kind of developed Certiverse, there's been some challenges, right, with trying to develop the technology and trying to make everything work. And, we definitely have run into, I would say, some of our own, we stumbled around,
Sure.
like our own feet trying to like build, stuff and the way we design things. But I would say that last year we made like a bet and we said, you know what, we're going to build, we've kind of solved the content side of things. And we can, we know that works because we've had a lot of customers designing exams, writing a lot of content, and actually building forms, right? Like, and then the second piece of it that I thought was that I felt was needed was on the delivery side, because I felt really bad for our customers, and you know this, because customers would come on the platform and be really excited. They would start using Certiverse, and then they would develop an exam in record time,
And then we'd wait.
in record cost. And they would be really excited, and then they were like, "All right, I'm ready to deliver this." And then they would go to their vendor, and then that vendor would be like, "Okay, yeah, like in 6 months you can start delivering."
Yeah, our first project, our very first client, we developed the exam in like 6 weeks, which was just unheard of. And we had to wait.
And that's design.
That was
QA.
from JTA to we're ready to launch the beta, and the proctoring vendor couldn't get it ready. And then we had to wait. It was almost
I think
it was 6 weeks. It was another 6 weeks that they had to wait to just launch the exam because of the proctoring vendor. That was just how long it took.
So I think for us to kind of, obviously recognize that there's having something that's, super fast, efficient, game changer, technology, but then having to rely on old school processes for the delivery piece was going to like basically put us out of business, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we were just like, it doesn't really make a difference if you can launch something fast, but then you have to like wait, for the next train to come, and that train's not going to come for 5 months. It's like
6 weeks later, it's published.
But yeah, so like we spent, I think that us taking the time to go, okay, what are the gaps? What are the things that we need to do? And we said we need to build an exam store so that people can purchase the exams. We need to build an electronic vouchering store so that people can, create discounts and stuff like that. So, bringing that piece into Certiverse, I think was a big game changing. And then I think like changing the way we also deliver the exams is game changing, right?
Well, I think that for me, when we brought on, the driver, I think was a huge deal, that we have our own driver. And so it'll go right in, content development right into, your performance build. But I think that the biggest pivot for me was, when we brought on the proctoring, and the proctoring is also an innovation, because right now you have that other friction point where you schedule, even with remote proctoring, you schedule the exam, and then 2 weeks later you take it. And now, because a lot of people have moved to remote proctoring, you then have to wait 45 minutes to an hour to get a proctor online to take your test. And so I think, the innovation of having an on-demand live proctor is the next game changer.
It is.
In my opinion.
Yeah, and I would say that like and we're seeing that because our customers love that.
When we show them, the first thing they ask
when we
for.
show them the platform, we say, here's the exam store. And I want to talk about another change that we've been working on that we didn't really catch on, or we didn't, I would say, pivot and rectify right away, but it's taken us a while, but I'll talk about that in a moment.
Okay.
And see if you know what it is. But I would say that the delivery model of, how do we make this better for a test taker? Like, it's like nobody's thinking about that, right? If you look online, you look at all the complaints, it's still like, I still have to schedule this, or I schedule this there's no proctoring seats. I scheduled it for 2 weeks out, and then something happens, and then like my exam didn't go well, and now I have to wait another week, and so forth. So working with partners that can give us instant live proctoring, I think is going to be a big change for candidates, right? Like not having to schedule, because I would venture to say that the majority of the customer service issues out there are related to a scheduling event.
Absolutely, 100%. The most, being on the program side, I had all of my complaints almost were because of the actual testing experience.
Yeah.
Almost all of them. And I think, like I said before, even though I've been on the program and the vendor side, I identify with the program side. So when I look at it, I'm looking at it through client's eyes. And I think and I think you've done a really good job with this, kind of the vision for Certiverse, is as we're all building, the whole team does this, we look at it through the candidate's eyes, through the SME's eyes. What is going to be the best experience for them, which in turn will benefit the clients, obviously. But that's how we've built everything is, okay, well, if I was the candidate and I was sitting here, I don't want to have to wait to proctor, let's fix that.
Yeah.
And that's how we've done everything.
And I think that people don't realize is that, like, I'm a technologist, right? But like the real secret to like Certiverse's success is really you, because you demand functionality and features that benefit the programs and the candidates, because you've been on that side, and you're just like, no, we're not going to have that. That's a terrible experience.
That's a nice way to put it. I've been called worse, for sure. Thank you.
No, but I would say, okay, so I am going to go back to something that's really critical, because I think you've been pressing us. I'm just kind of like a little bit of like, okay, I think we should do this. This is the vision. This is what we need to be. And then you have our awesome software development team,
yes.
Tyler, Pablo, and Federico, who are building the actual technology, and the rest of the team as well. But I would say that there is one thing that you've been pushing for a very long time, and I mean, I'll take the blame on it, because I think that we were so busy doing other things, but it's the self-service aspect of it,
yes.
right?
From the beginning,
self-service was
I would say I'm holding my flag again. I'm holding my self-service flag. Yes, it is. 100%.
Yeah, and tell people what that is, because I don't think that you realize how much when you're launching a program, and you know this because you've launched many exams and programs. Tell us about how dependent you are on the vendors.
And it's every vendor. So, it starts out with the content development. If you have someone facilitating, then if you've hired them to facilitate, now you're waiting on them to write you a report or to get you your content. And then you have to go to your proctoring vendor, and then you're waiting on them to load it, to QA it, to publish it, to, if you have any changes you need to make, you can't make them. You have to call the vendor, and they'll be like,
"You want to change the exam code?"
Yeah, thank you. I mean, it might as well be like an automation. Thank you. That'll be 5 to 6 weeks. We'll get back to you when. And that's just, you can't run a program like that. Yeah. So yes, I did right from the beginning. Was always, if I can't do it myself, I'm going to be mad. I'm going to be mad. And the funny thing is we do have clients who say the exact same thing. Can I do it myself? When can I do it myself?
Yeah.
Because that is so important. It's part of the efficiency. It's part of the productivity. I don't want to have to ask you to do something. I want to do it myself.
Yeah, and I think like initially, obviously, we were, our focus was like, let's get this going. Let's get that. Let's build this technology. Let's get this reporting system. Let's get this data analysis piece or this NLP algorithm, right? And all that. That was really our focus, and we didn't think a lot about the self-service aspect of it until you were banging the drum, and
yes.
and obviously our clients as well. But the self-service piece of it is so critical because it, and I know like we've been adding more and more features to let customers do things do things that like are we would normally do, right? And I think we designed the system so that we designed the system so that we can eliminate as much risk to the customer. And self-service means that there's more risk because they can make a mistake, right? When they configure a setting or whatever. And we went back, we just said, okay, how do we eliminate that risk? How do we like remove some of those options or buttons so that they're not, so they can't make mistakes? And if they do, I think it's worth the,
it's worth the risk.
It's
and
worth
I think,
the risk.
These are professionals. I mean, these clients all have, whether they're, their program manager or their director or whoever's in the system, they're experienced professionals. They know how to do this. We should allow them to do that themselves. And if it's something in the system, we just have a flag. Make sure you know that if you do this, this will happen. Great, I know what happens. I push the button and I go.
Yeah.
What I didn't have to do is wait 5 weeks for you to push the button and then ask me is it okay? Yes, it's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just game changing. We've had a client who literally developed an exam, put it in the store, published it, and it was out there ready for availability. And he didn't need us at all. He did the whole thing himself in a record time. And he's like, that exam went out a couple days ago. And he didn't need to call us because we'd made it so easy for him to do it himself.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I love that aspect of the system. And I love that, I know there's still more self-service features that we're rolling out and we've identified. And, there's giving customers basically the power so that they can go through the whole entire process from start to finish on their own is critical for us. And I think it also works. It's better for us, right? Because I think your team doesn't have to take those requests,
right?
Change an exam name, change the price. And I've seen some customers make mistakes, and I'm like, I'm okay with that.
Right? No, I mean, I think that's the whole idea of the platform. It's not to replace people, because I know a lot of people. Well, that's my job. It's not to replace people. It's to make people more efficient and more productive. So as we make it self-service and the client could do it themselves, it makes our team more productive and more efficient, and the client more productive and efficient. Vision realized.
All right. So I talked already about unforeseen challenges. I kind of didn't. This is always in the back of my mind. It's just one of those things that it's the prioritization, and there's only, we have only so much capital, and there's only so much we can do in a month or whatever. But having, because you and I talked about this last year, and I said we have to build the exam store next. That has to be the next big project, because we're just not going to survive if we have to depend on the dinosaur mentality of how you launch a program and configure it and call somebody up and say, can you change that to I'm going to have an exam sale. Can you change it to $99.99 for whatever? We knew that was going to be a big friction point for us, and potentially could have been catastrophic had we not pivoted quickly and built that out. But I want to ask you, what other unforeseen challenges do you think? Things that you didn't expect.
Oh gosh. Well, I didn't expect any of it, because this is my first foray into a startup. So, it's a different world, and I have to say it's absolutely fantastic. And so if anyone out there, if you ever get the opportunity to work at a startup, absolutely do it.
It's so much fun, right?
It's fun. It is kind of scary.
It's so scary.
It's scary. I mean, really, it's scary. But when, where we came from 2 years, it's kind of it's like parenting. I mean, we had nothing, and then it's all of a sudden watching it grow and seeing all the things that we've done and seeing how people are responding to it. I mean, it's an amazing feeling.
It took the market, first of all, quite a long time, because now we're seeing a ton of growth right now.
Yes, I would agree with that. It took, because I saw it instantly. So I think that would be an unforeseen, I suppose. I saw the vision, the potential instantly in that moment that you showed it to me. And so I was sort of surprised when other people didn't see it instantly. And we'd have to explain it to them. And they were like, well, I don't understand why that would be better. So that was I was a little taken aback that it took us a little bit longer and people were slow to catch on. But now, as you said, they're catching on quickly, and we have all this momentum and all these clients signing. One
thing I didn't see coming around the corner is I felt like a lot of individuals who run programs saw the platform as a risk to them. They're used to doing the facilitation. They're used to reaching out to SMEs. They're used to running the programs, the certification, and we've automated so much of that I think that a lot of people felt threatened by the program, the technology, where others there's kind of the other side of it where I think people were embracing it. They were
absolutely,
oh my goodness, this is going to eliminate all these manual things that I have to do, and also I have 3 vendors that I have to manage. It's gonna I'm gonna go down to one. And I don't need professional psychometric services anymore. But I didn't, I didn't foresee that. Like I felt like we had a lot of, I would say, friction at the beginning with a lot of folks that run programs who thought, well, this is going to basically.
We were trying to replace them.
You're trying to replace them, and from my perspective, I thought, I was looking at it like, yeah, but you can now launch 10 exams instead of 2 per year or 3.
And I think again, the process hasn't changed. We just made it more efficient. So when I put my client hat on and I was looking at, okay, so I started at a program. When I got there, it had 2 exams and no volume. And, the company wanted 10 exams and they wanted them in 6 months. I immediately thought I could have done it with Certiverse. Had Certiverse been around, I could have done that easily, because 10 exams on that platform doesn't take 6 months. But it never dawned on me that anyone would say, oh, well, that's my job and I do that. But think of all the things you could do. Think of all the innovations you could do in your own program, or how much bigger you could make it. I guess, that was a surprise.
I mean, just, reaching out to business units and launching more certification exams and so forth. But yeah, I just did not foresee that. Like I thought that we were going to be, welcome and people are going to embrace Certiverse and go, wow, I can go from 1 to 10. But at the beginning, I felt like a lot of people are definitely threatened by the elimination of so many of those tasks. But overall, I think, I think that, we have customers, they're 1-person programs and are doing way more than bigger teams or big teams, because they embrace Certiverse and they're like, I'm going to launch 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 exams, which is incredible, right? And also just think about like the time to get these out. It's amazing.
I think in the same way, when did you start Innovative Exams? 2010, 2009?
Innovative Exams, we started around 2010.
So think about the reaction you got when you were talking about remote proctoring.
Yeah.
And people were like, I don't know what Ruben's talking about. I'm not doing that. That's not secure. That's ridiculous. Right?
Yeah,
I know you got absolutely. A lot of that. I didn't say that to you.
You're the only one that believed in us.
I did not say that to you. Yeah. But I think what you've created here, it's going to be the same thing. So you have your early adopters who really see the vision, really understand what this can do for them, and they're jumping on board and they're going to be ahead of the game. It's
incredible. We have some of those already that are building amazing certification programs. It's so great to see that, right? Yes. It's so great to see that. I see a badge online and I'm like, holy cow, like that was built on Certiverse.
I see one of the clients that has 5 or 6 exams and they have all their badges and a tweet, and I'm like, those are all built on Certiverse in the last however long. Wouldn't
been able to do that without such an awesome platform. No. But I want to ask you, like, what's your vision for Certiverse? So besides the automation, like, what do you, if you had, like, again, a magic wand or whatever, endless amounts of capital, what would you love to see?
Money is no object. All of the things that I guess people are thinking that are really not possible, but would be really cool. Those are the things I want to be able to build. And I know that we can. I know Alan is working with some really, really interesting stuff in AI and item writing. I think there's a lot of really great things that we can do around security with the platform because of all the data that we have, all of the AI. I think that there's a way that we're going to be able to automate not only the development, the delivery, but also what I find really exciting is the maintenance of an exam. So in real time, we'll be able to detect if we believe that an item has been compromised, or that if a candidate is colluding, and in real time, because everything is connected, we can swap out items. We can create all sorts of different forms. That's kind of what I see, is just a complete automation, a complete transformation of what it looks like now.
Yeah, I love that vision. I love it because I think that we made a lot of sacrifices in delaying, the release of the platform, and very early on, we could have just partnered with a lot of people, right? We could have said, hey, you know what, this organization, they already have an item banking system, let's partner with them. This organization, they have a test driver, let's partner with them. But those partnerships, although would have helped us get to the market quicker, I think that would have disadvantaged us.
I think there's a lot of interesting things too that we can do because we're going to control the entire experience. Where if we had separate partners, I think that the experience for both the candidates and the SMEs would get a little bit, kind of hodgepodge. But I like some of the ideas that you've had around the identity management and what we can do with that around adaptive security and how that will change. It'll be a huge change in the market as how people are going through and how easy it is for you to get that. And it's going to increase security, which I haven't seen anything in the industry in a long time, in my opinion, that is able to increase security. It's kind of been a whack-a-mole. Things have changed. There's been different ideas, but nothing has increased security. So I'm really interested to see where we can go with that.
Yeah, so am I. Well, I think this is it. And it's great to have you as a guest on this show. But you're welcome to come back and maybe even host it a couple of times.
Right.
You can give me a break, and also obviously, I want to personally thank you for joining the team very early on and helping shape the vision and being an advocate for customers. And I would say that we wouldn't have any of these awards if it wasn't for you and and all your persistence on making things better for customers. So thank you, Jill.
Well, thank you. I really enjoy what we're doing at Certiverse.
Awesome. And if people want to find you, they can find you on LinkedIn.
They can find me on LinkedIn.
Jill Burroughs.
If you don't know me, I'm on LinkedIn. You can find me.
Thank you, Jill.
Thanks.